What do you mean by Trump exposed a lot of this?
Because you, let's see. Um, a lot of the right wing, especially, was kind of copying this model because Rupert Murdoch is an unethical bastard. And then you have also like the Koch brothers would purposely use it because they know how it works. You have a lot of the other sort of big name Republican donors who, again, they know how it works. They entrenched it. They created the Rush Limbaugh and the conservative talk, and they themselves also have that echo chamber, and they're still using it now. So because that itself to the left wing, and most press who are interested in truth have no choice but to say, wow, he's just fucking lying. Like, look at this. He just drew on a weather map in Sharpie, and that's literally illegal. And nobody is calling him out for being butt naked and claiming that if you can't see his clothes, you're a stupid person and you're not cool. And that's how I mean it kind of got exposed. I think more average viewers could just, it was so blatant that I think the general average person could kind of, at least I will say, like the general average person who my dad noticed and talked to, because in general, I don't personally know anyone who's like blinded by that. Now, I did follow a whole bunch of right wingers in Gamergate because I did that to myself. At one point, I was just like, "Wow, I only know like the left wing side of Gamergate. I should follow right wingers. Who's a right winger in Gamergate? Show me your hands. I'll follow you." And I did, and I do not recommend. 0 out of 10, worst experience. Very dumb. Curate your life. Don't do it. It was so bad. Once COVID started happening, I started like being like, all right, no, we've got to remove some of these. We can't take this anymore.
So,
And I think that was the other thing. Like, I think it also helped do what I did to myself. Like, other people started to be like, wait a minute. No, no, no. We're not injecting bleach. What are you talking about? Um, but not all. Like, yeah. Some people just, whatever. First impressions and that kind of thing. There's a lot of biases that go in there, but uh,
this isn't something that's
so
been. Go ahead.
So, okay, one of the things with Trump was he would do the thing of like the corrupt person thing of like, look at this terrible, horrible thing that other people are doing. Oh, I'm such a victim. I am like the most persecuted person of all of history. Jesus would be protecting me and crying for me because I'm just so persecuted. Jesus was never as persecuted as me. Like completely off the wall, crazy shit. Um, and you have a lot of journalists, you have like two sides, like in politics now. You have the people who are just like, this is what Trump said, and they just like leave it at that. But then you have the people who are like, okay, and this is obviously fucking insane because here is the reality, and I think that's what I meant with exposed it because it kind of showed like here are people who will just echo what is said with like uncritically, no, explanation of truth and reality, and just like be like, okay, it's up to you. Like, yeah, he's lying, but it's not my place to tell you he's lying. Like, it is your place to tell reality and truth. And I think, again, we go back to what Gamergate started with. It is your place to tell reality and truth. One of the things that one of the journalists in not in Gamergate, but because I noticed them because they were on an ethics panel that I don't know if it was like 1 or 2 degrees removed from Gamergate, but I started following them because the first thing they said was the first thing when it comes to ethics in journalism is it should be like a doctor's. You should take a Hippocratic oath. First, do no harm. And I thought that was really impressive because I've never heard a journalist say that. And even when it comes to things like oil, right? Like I said, I'm still SJW-ish. I believe very strongly, like, and anti-oil, like a very environmentalist, always have been. And so when it comes to first do no harm, I mean, yeah, oil companies, if you straight up say, like, obviously global warming is happening, here's all the proof that Chevrolet, or not Chevrolet, sorry,
Chevron?
gas company,
Yeah,
Chevron,
Chevron.
thank you.
Yeah.
So that Chevron knew from the 50s and 60s that this was going to happen. And in the 70s, they had a big thing where they said among themselves, should we do something about this? And they all just decided, no, that's for the future to deal with. Let's just try and like do the same thing we did with unleaded gasoline, you know, like try and prevent it from happening. In fact, we can learn from that and do better about preventing it from happening. And that's what they did. Like, I think if you say, okay, this is what they said and did, you still have to say like the reality. It isn't harm to tell the truth and reality. What is harm is obviously not. And that's what defamation laws are as well. Like, it's never defamation to tell the truth. Now, when it comes to something like X is an abusive person, yes, that's difficult to prove, especially if it's not like physically violence and you have literal medical hospital receipts. I'll grant you there. But in general, like uh, E Jean Carroll and Trump, you know, she said straight up, he's a rapist. He raped me. He said, actually, according to the New York definition, I didn't. It was only sexual abuse. And a judge had to come out and say the vernacular for rape is rape. And just because New York has a stupid feminist definition where you have to penetrate vagina with penis, which is very sexist and does not account for male
Is
rape
that a
on rape.
feminist definition, or is that just like
It is.
an old school
So one of
definition that's
the
been on the law for like decades and they never changed it?
no, it is actually no. It was modified in the 80s. It is a feminist definition. So one of the things that happened in New York City in the 80s again was a kind of Andrew Dworkin brand of rape. They didn't want women to be able to be considered rapists, and that's why that definition was made. And it's
I don't
something,
know enough about this to like comment on it,
yeah.
but it's not
So
really related to DG, so
one
we
of
can
the
like.
things, Erin Pizzey saved my life when I first was being like realizing when I was like 22 that I had been abused, only because my brother was also abused by the same person. And I realized my silence, or at least trying to be like, I'm tough, I can handle this without,
Well,
needing to reach out to others, was actually hurting my brother too, because he had been abused and I was not helping him and I should have been. So Erin Pizzey actually had released a whole bunch of books about her abuse from her parents, such as Scream Quietly or The Neighbors Were Clear. And it helped me realize, like, yes, women can be abusive, um, which was the biggest, hardest thing for me as a young Amazonian feminist who stupidly was all in feminist circles. I actually believed women couldn't be abusive; they would always be kind of the victim. And while I could say like the person was abusive to my mom, I couldn't say they were abusive to me until I was able to articulate it after reading those books. And one of the things she also dealt with was like a lot of so she had started the first shelters for women and children in England, but she hadn't meant it to be a feminist shelter, because she saw herself, her mother was abusive, and women can be abusive. And it's, while there is like some difference, not all women are physically abusive, obviously. They certainly still can be, but what happened was it was taken over by sort of more radical feminists, probably. I don't want to get like too into the politics of it, but they took it away from her. She had started the first shelters, but they took the entire process away from her and started making it only women and children and trying to really make it men are the problem. And that's also what happened in the case in New York with the definition. So they had also tried to rewrite the FBI definition
Okay. Well,
in
I mean, do you want to delve into that, or do you want to delve back into the GG stuff?
uh, I will just say, losing my train of thought, but I think like, yeah, I know you were talking about Johnny Fox earlier. I don't know if this was on stream or
It was
not,
off
but
stream, but it's fine. I think you brought him up first,
so
but go ahead.
yeah, so Johnny Fox, one of the things, so as a feminist, right, like a former feminist, kind of like trying to like no longer be a feminist in a way, like trying to just be egalitarian. So he was a men going their own way thing. So I could certainly understand why you two wouldn't get along. So one of the severe discussions he and I always had was about that, just like some of the feminists versus like, yeah, I think it's safe to say men going their own way is sort of anti-feminist, if you will. Not quite
Well,
men's rights, but
so to be clear,
adjacent.
Johnny Fox and I did get along okay-ish up
Yeah.
until he decided, I don't remember what the exact details were, but he decided that he was going to start a bunch of drama with me, and I felt like he was basically just doing it for views.
Possibly.
But I mean that's part of the streamer space, but like this is a
Yeah,
movement. We're
the
supposed to be working
streamers,
towards a
right?
cause here. We're not
Also,
supposed to
like,
be trying to cause drama just so you can get clicks on your channel. But like, hey, you know what?
also
Maybe
is
he
like,
sees things differently. Maybe he has his own story. Um, I also thought it was kind of suspicious that he kept like leaving GamerGate and then joining GamerGate again, and then he's gonna leave,
yep.
and he's like doing it very publicly, and then he comes back again. Like I don't know, man. It's kind of weird. But hey, you know what? You do you.
I think that's the epitome of men going their own way.
I
Like,
don't think that like
just
all of
gonna
those
run off
people are
into the
bad or
woods and
anything.
be alone, and then it's like, man, it sucks out here alone. I hate it. Come back.
I don't think like all the
Um,
MGTOW people are like bad. I've interacted with some of them and like
no,
I feel like like I feel like a
I think
lot of
they're,
them, some of them might have like sexist views and that really sucks. And like some of them like also like
yeah,
suffered from abuse and like they had really shitty
right. That's
relationships and
exactly
so
it.
like they have
So
like some degree of empathy for them too. You know.
yes. So that was where I kind of came into MGTOWs, was more on the uh like I said, I dealt with my own abuse because my brother was abused. So I became very protective of men who had been abused. So one of the people I also talked to a lot was like friends with Erin Pizzey. So that's where I learned a lot about everything
Oh, by the
that
way,
I hadn't
sorry, but
learned about.
Johnny Fox also did his crowdfunding fundraiser, and I don't know if he used the Gamergate hashtag or not, but some people viewed that as being kind of griftery too. But again, that's like
Yes.
he claims he lost his job and he was going through a really tough
Ah,
time.
right, right, right,
He had
right.
a story to tell about his former employer. But look, I feel sorry for you if you lost your job. That really sucks. I get it. But people took that in a very kind of negative way. Maybe they shouldn't have. I don't know. But a lot of people view that as kind of sus. I don't remember if he used the hashtag when he promoted it, though. I don't know if he was like, I'm a Gamergate person down on their luck. I don't know if he used the hashtag. So I don't know if he promoted it on the hashtag. That's kind of I don't know. But if he just did it on his own space, I guess that's fine. But I don't remember what it was. It was fucking 9 years ago, 8 years
Yeah,
ago.
I don't remember. It was so long ago.
But a lot of
I just
people were in
remember
it for the
he
money,
was,
right? A lot of people were in this shit for the money.
yes,
They were
yes,
grifters. I mean,
definitely.
I'm not saying Johnny Fox specifically was. I don't know enough about his specific case. Maybe he
Right.
really did get fired or, uh,
Well,
laid
I think
off.
it was,
But
even if you were a grifter, Gamergate was not a good way to get it. It's just, I mean, Certainly, as a woman, obviously, OnlyFans is the way to go. But uh, yeah.
Yeah.
Even for like all the guys, like there's so many ways you could grift, and GamerGate was just not going to do it because GamerGate's like extremely skeptical people.
Yeah, for the most part, I mean, like some people did make money off of it, to be clear, but
Yes, but that also increased a lot of the skepticism because
true.
every time someone did that, you kind of like increased the threshold.
Yeah, and I'm not to be like I'm
'Cause,
not opposed to
I
like
mean,
people raising
codes.
money if they if
Sure.
they undergo like a really tough time and they want to do like a GoFundMe. Like I think that's fine. So
Yeah.
like I don't want to like hit them too hard over it, but especially if it was a true story, which again, like these things, how the fuck do we know if you actually lost your job or not? And like why do I have an obligation to give you money? So I didn't give him any
Yeah.
money. But you know what?
Yeah.
I hope he's in a better spot now and he's recovered in
I
life and
agreed.
yeah, I
Yeah.
wish him
Same.
the best.
Mhm.